Hello everyone, it's Nathan from Nathan's DIY Garage, and today I'm going to show you how to diagnose rattling and shuddering on pretty much any BMW. Okay, so I thought, well, I got this engine out of this X5, I might as well point out a lot of stuff since everything's sitting out in the open right now. And so we'll go ahead and start on with that. Most of these, when I get them, a lot of the customers get them in, you drive on the interstate, they're shuddering, they're shaking, or you're hitting bumps and making noise, making a clunking noise. That's even more common. So we have a few things here. We'll start off with the suspension, and we'll go to the drivetrain. Most cars, besides BMWs, when they're rattling, hit bumps, is the struts. Well, I guess the BMW can do that, but 99% of the time, that's not the case. So we'll go over here, and we're going to take a look at this. We have a few things here I want to point out. We have the thrust arm, which goes from down here to the spindle, goes up to the subframe. We have the tie rod that goes to the rack and pinion, which sets in there. And then we have what I call a camber arm. The camber arm holds the tire from tilting out, right? So the camber arm is going to keep the tire from tilting out the top or in the top. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and just visibly look at this, and you can see right here it's a little bit cracked. We're just going to roll this forward. You can see how loose that is. That's not supposed to be like that at all. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera or not, but that one's pretty crappy. So that needs to be replaced. That will cause a clunking. That's the main cause of clunking when you hit bumps. And this is for pretty much any BMW. They have different variations of this system. The 3 Series do have a different kind of control arm, but it still has the same kind of bushing. So we're going to check that first. That's the most common failure. The next most common failure is the ball joints on the other end. And it's the same way. You go over here and wiggle it. You can't see this one too good because it's not on the car. The tire's not on it. You're going to want to check the bushing on that, the ball joint on that little guy. And another common one is the sway bar links. The sway bar links are right here. And how these work, there's a little ball socket goes in here, and it goes in a plastic cup. So on anything else, it's a metal ball and a metal cup. So a BMW, a lot of times will actually break these off. I think what they're going for a quieter ride with the plastic. So anyway, these things are dirt cheap. I think they're $16 for 2 of them. What I like to do with these, especially a car like this, is going to be driven daily. I'll go through and buy the kit. I'll buy this control arm. I'll buy the thrust arm or the camber arm. It'll come with this guy here. And it'll also come with the inner and outer tie rods. Now the tie rods are the same way. You shake it. I don't think you can see on the camera or not. This one does have a little bit of play. And how it works is most of the stuff you just replace the inner. But they sell them so cheap on the kit. The whole kit for everything's like $100. And you just take the boot off in here, you pull it off, you unscrew the whole thing out, take the nut off, and thread it all in there. I pretty much do this kit on almost everything that comes in. That way you know you're good to go. And we'll string line the alignment and line it to spec like that. There's no adjustment on the front of any BMW for the camber that I know of. These are all just fixed arms. So if it's bad, it's going to be out. I guess the next stage of vibration could be the CV axle. That's not near as common. And you check that by pulling up and down. Not in and out doesn't make any difference. This one's really good. BMWs usually don't have much problem with that. The next thing is going to be tires. Now tires is a little different story. We're going to talk about that here in a second. We're going to jump ahead to the drive line. So the drive line, this is a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So it's got 2 drive shafts, one for the rear that comes out of here, one that goes to the front. So BMW put these rubber bushings, they're called Guibo bushings, G-U-I-B-O I believe, and it's a damper. So when especially if it's a stick, you let the clutch out, it doesn't jerk. When the car shifts, it cushions the blow, right? So a lot of times these would be cracked, and once they start getting cracked, they start getting out of balance. So that'll be an off and on shutter, or shutter at certain speeds, but so will all this. It's hard to diagnose these cars sometimes. You just have to go and check everything out. And once everything's checked out, I mean, you know what you got, you know what the car is like, you know what's going to go bad, what's getting bad. And there's also another one on the front, on the all-wheel drive cars and on the BMW X5. There's a wheel right there for the front drive shaft. That rarely ever goes out. This is a fixed shaft, so it doesn't have flex to it like the rear has. It tends to make the pieces last a lot longer. And also, one other common cause of vibration, and mainly in a manual car, will be the drive shaft carrier bearing. So the drive shaft bolts to this, the drive shaft goes to the rear diff. There'll be a bearing that holds it up, has 2 bolts in it, holds it to the frame of the car. And that'll have a bearing and a bushing. And if that gets messed up, that'll cause a lot of vibration also. And in pretty rare case on a BMW, these bushings here could go out. This is obviously the sway bar, and it has end links that go down to it, and they're held on by 2 bolts. This could wear out. It feels like like clunking under your feet. You usually could tell those if they're bad when the way the car is on it. You look and you see a big gap on either side of it. And so one of the other things is to check is the tires. Now this tire is separated, it's not aired up, and usually what I do when the tires on the car are aired up, we'll go over here and we'll look down the tire and we'll look for lumps if it looks uneven. Okay, so this one you can't really see it too well since it doesn't have air in it, because it's not going to bulge out. You can see though, you can see it's bald right here. You cannot see in the lines of the tread. As we go over here, oh, you can see tread there. Alright, so, and it's only on the side, it's not all the way across. We go over here the same way, you can see a tread there, it's bald there. That tire is ruined. That could definitely cause terrible vibrations at certain speeds, cause a slapping noise on the concrete. It just all depends. And then in other cases, like this wheel here has a very slight bend in it. Okay, so that's not enough to cause a problem, but that can be bent a lot worse, usually on the inside. If you go in here and look on the inside, if you see any bends where they've been hit, where they've been curbed, where they hit a big pothole, that could also do it. And also your wheel weights could cause a vibration too. Most BMWs have stick-ons, they could fly off. A lot of the older cars, they have the older wheels, they have the lead hammer-on weight, and those really like to fly off. That could also cause vibrations on the highway. And then over here I have the subframe laying from a 540, E39 540. And it's pretty much the same setup as the X5. The X5 is a lot bigger. This is very similar to E38. And you can see down in here how that's all ripped out. The little rubber pegs are ripped off of it. It's got the same setup for the sway bar links. And of course the camber arm. This one's not bad. That ball joint is bad. You can move it that easily. That's junk. And also one other thing, guys, is really important to remember when you order these control arm kits. Now they are different. As you notice, this 540 is like E38. It does not have rack and pinion. It has a mechanical steering with a pitman arm and a gearbox. So what that's going to mean is that, I don't know if these arms are different, but I know the sway bar links are different. Obviously your tie rods are going to be different. So you need to make sure when you're ordering a kit for E39, you're not ordering one for the 6-cylinder car. The 540 has a different kit altogether. The 540 kit is the same as the E38. Okay, and lastly but not least, on the E46s, especially ones that are a stick like this car, you guys, this thing, I don't recommend the E46. The E39 is a whole lot better car, same damn money, handling's not much different. These things have a real nasty little problem of ripping the subframe, ripping the rear subframe out of the unibody. And that's really hard to fix. You got to pull everything out. You got to pull the gas tank. You got to pull the whole cross member in the rear out to weld it all up. A lot of the M3s get to the point to where, this thing's unlocked or not. Let's see. Yep. A lot of these, this isn't an M3 obviously, this is 323. The M3s that get so bad, when you let the clutch out, the whole back floor of the trunk will actually flex and move. So when people ask me about E46s, yeah, you could buy one that's broke for $500 or $800, but I'd much rather have the E39 if you like the V8s, the E38, and stuff like that. So that's all for today's video, guys. It's kind of a long video. Every little thing is in there, though. Everything you need to check for a vibration, for any kind of clunky noise. If you go down through the checklist, check everything out one at a time, you're probably going to find a few things that are getting ready to need to be replaced, let alone some that are totally worn out.